What fucked you up as a kid on the internet? Technically a teen, I think 16, is when some image board, not 4chan but similar culture, found my fiction accounts and picked apart all my stories line by line, then one of them sent me a link to the thread so that I'd see it. That's the only time I ever got upset enough on the internet to talk to my mom about it, haha. Freshman year, I was working with my cousin on a school project. We were chatting on MSN, emailing drafts back and forth to each other. On one of the emails I decided to go on Rate My POO and send him a bunch of pictures of shit thinking he'd find it as funny as I would, but he told me he threw up instead. That's when I learned that not everyone who spent a lot of time online found crazy shit funny. OMG. I remember those. I've always loved horror movies, and these were in the horror section of Blockbuster. My mom was gone for the weekend, so I convinced my dad to have a horror marathon with me. I was like 12/13-ish, and we rented a couple of those to watch not knowing what they were. We both sat there in horror, me clutching my stuffed animal, as about 30 minutes played before my dad turned it off. I once had a friend and co-worker tell me he wanted to show me a video at work. I come over and he plays this video. The video itself didn't bother me that much as I was pretty desensitized already from Faces of Death when I was much younger and stuff I had unfortunately seen IRL, but what bothered me was that he just thought it was okay to randomly show me that. Like, he looked up at me smiling, almost laughing afterwards, and saw the somber expression on my face. I was part of small message board for a video game I played as a kid. One week we got spammed by people who decided to post porn all over the top message threads. I'm not talking guy on girl or people being naked/topless. I'm talking the absolute most vile and disgusting shit that most people would never think exists. Grown men shoving their dicks in the mouths of crying toddlers. People shoving thumbtacks into an erect penis. Men raping kids, animals. It was sick as fuck. I didn't even realize what I was seeing when I first came across it. I was confused, and then it clicked what all these images were and what they meant. I panicked and literally unplugged the power cord from the computer, ran into the bathroom and puked. I was raised in a conservative Christian home and had never seen what would pass as normal porn, so having this be my first introduction really turned me off to the entire medium. I've never watched or looked at porn and I'm almost 30. Edit: I normally don't make edits to my post, but I want to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who has reached out to me today. I've never talked about this in detail before today, and I was not expecting the level of sympathy that I received. I'm very thankful to all of you. I will say that the one main outcome of having experienced this as a preteen was that it taught me great empathy for other people, because you never know what they've been through. I try to show only kindness to people, even those who are difficult to be kind to, and I encourage whoever reads this to be the same. I was a teenager and remember Yahoo groups in the late 90s. Chat rooms, etc. You reminded me of all the creepy child porn that got spam blasted into every group, then the groups would get shut down. I always wondered what the legality was, since the 15 and 16-year-old girls depicted were technically the same age as me at the time. I was 14 or 15 when I first learned about the internet on a 133 MHz computer with 14 kbs dial-up, Windows 95 and AOL and Netscape. I would start a group dedicated to sharing strategies in Star Wars Rebellion/Supremacy, then a week later someone would spam blast child porn on it and it was shut down. Never figured out why the hell they were doing that. I've seen some depraved shit, but none of it fucked up like being exposed to CP. Like, It's one thing to watch something like Two Girls One Cup or Anal Jar Guy and be disgusted and shocked. But CP is a gut punch. It actually knocked the wind out of me. I didn't throw up, but it felt like I got punched so hard I could breathe. Like, I saw a video of a guy killing his boyfriend, raping the corpse with a beer bottle, decapitating him and literally cutting out a chunk of ass cheek with a knife and fork to feed his dog. That was nothing compared to the CP, which I won't even describe because I don't want to continue to spread what happened to the kid. And I was already an adult. I'm sorry someone did that to you as a kid. Watching Three Guys One Screwdriver, which is a video where two guys murder a man with a screwdriver. You can hear his blood-filled gurgled breathing even when he barely resembles a meat sack. Out of all the murder videos I've seen, this was the worst, especially as I was young. I highly recommend against this video. I only watched it because I was looking at videos like Two Girls One Cup, and the guy who sits on a glass jar and it breaks inside him. I thought that Three Guys One Screwdriver would be three guys using a screwdriver for sex-like sounding, and wondered how bad it could be as it was recommended after watching the other videos mentioned. Correction, it was a screwdriver, not a hammer, but I have seen some other wacky videos, so it's easy to get confused, especially with me avoiding googling these things again. Like teens whacking a man off a motorbike with something heavy in a bag and murdering him after dragging him into the woods out of the way of the road. I saw that one when I was young and it was pretty bad, but the one hit me more was a video of Chechen militants executing several Soviet soldiers. The version I saw had English subtitles and the soldiers were begging for their lives. I remember one of the soldiers saying that I have nothing against your people, and another begging for his mom. I recall one of them tried to run away but got shot. The rest had their throats cut, and the sounds of their gurgling and stuff still haunts me to this day. What was I thinking watching that? This. I will never get the image out of my head the first time I saw it happen. The guy was literally kneeling down, arms tied behind his back, staring at the camera while surrounded by these members of Al-Qaeda, without much clue of what was being said to the camera. Less than a minute later his head was cut off with a knife. The image of it happening and sounds he made are something that will stick with me forever. I get a combination of feeling sick to my stomach and absolute outrage whenever I think of it. During some rioting in South America, I clicked a YouTube video that got past the filters. The content of the video was a group of people surrounding a random pedestrian, beating him till the group then people grabbed his arms and legs and held them open. Then someone came behind his head and using both hands gouged their thumbs into his eye sockets till their thumbs could go no further. The man was screaming and blood was pouring from his eye sockets, and they started parading him through the streets. Then the video ended. There was a very close-up view of all of it. The person recording was clearing part of the group and was standing right next to the man while it was happening. To this day I remember that video quite clearly. No one should have to suffer that cruelty. When I was in 5th grade, 9 years old, some kind of virus took over my phone where every time I opened Chrome, this one pornography website's homepage would open up. Closing or changing tabs didn't do anything, and I even deleted Chrome, but to no avail. Luckily, they weren't actually doing it or even completely naked on the home page itself, but seeing those pictures for like a month scarred me. Didn't tell anyone cause they'd assume I was actually watching that stuff, and I think downloading Clean Master took care of it, but still. Don't Hug Me in Scared was terrifying, but a morbid curiosity kept me watching all the episodes. I was in 4th grade. And when I was in 5th grade I saw a video called Calf Force Fed and Dies. It was 15 minutes long and the morbid curiosity made me watch the whole thing. And for a year and a half I felt guilty when we ate meat. I just wanted to add that I'm a school that teaches you about the agriculture and working with livestock. That is not how farmers treat animals from a moral and business standpoint. If people see this, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Not quite a kid, but when I was 17 I stumbled upon a video of a man jumping from a dry dam. He sort of skids downward, and once he reaches the bottom, his head explodes. It happens rather quickly, but it's obvious what's going on. Of course, I brought this video up to my buddies, and they, too, wanted to see it. One of them, the biggest, bulliest of the group, didn't really react initially, but several days later he pulled me aside and said that video we watched, it didn't really hit me until the ride home that night. Then it messed me up. But yeah, that one in particular has stuck. An actual snuff film I downloaded on LimeWire as a 11-year-old kid looking for porn. I don't remember what it was titled, but it was a 1-minute long video. It starts with an about 20 seconds long clip of an unrelated late 80s porn scene. Pretty tame. Then cuts to a mid-20s early 30s woman sitting in a chair against blue painted wall. You can't see her arms, so I assumed they are tied behind her. Her face was bruised up but seemed to from a much earlier beating as healing had begun. Her shirt was torn and her breasts out. Sobbing she says, "Please. Please, just not my face." A before unseen figure reaches into frame wearing black gloves and holding a small caliber pistol and points it to the right side of her head. She begins to sob no, and he pulls the trigger. The bullet didn't leave the other side of her head. She begins to fall and the video ends. When I was in grade 5, my family got internet for the first time, dial-up. One eventful Friday night, I had a few friends over for a sleepover and we decided to search Spice Girls naked. With all of them crowded around me in excitement, I clicked on the first link and we waited in anticipation as the image loaded, one row of pixels at a time. Alas, to our eventual shock, we were met with a picture of very fat woman, in nothing but high heels, sporting a huge bush. That image haunts me to this day. Some of the first shock sites were crazy. Literally people trying to shock each other. Over and over. The prequels to Live Leak, E-Bombs World, Ogreish. Normally one-man bands collecting shock porn. I remember two in particular. One was a pissed guy walking up to a dog and then drop-kicking it, breaking its spine. The sound haunts me. The other was called Juba the Sniper. About a guy from Iran fighting the Americans in Iraq. He was an unbelievable sniper, unfortunately on the wrong side. The Americans hated him as he must have killed 100 plus, normally headshots. I played Roblox a lot when I was in my early teens. The predictive search term for the letter R on my computer would usually go straight to roblox.com. So I usually just pressed R in the search bar, then immediately hit enter in the search bar. One day, I pressed R, but instead of defaulting to Roblox, it defaulted to RedTube. And in my head, I was like no. Why? I just wanted to play Roblox. Not see naked people. Turns out, my dad had been watching porn that day. I remember when I was like 10 and I found out what emulators were. This was in the early days of the internet, when there was absolutely nothing you could do to stop 50 pop-ups from forcing their way onto your screen. Anyway, I wanted to download an emulator so I could play Sonic the Hedgehog. The first link I clicked plastered like 10 of the same porn ad of a girl shoving an apple up her ass onto my computer monitor. I just wanted to play Sonic the Hedgehog. I saw a video when I was about 12. A man fell from a building and landed on this small pole. Well, it went straight through his asshole and killed him instantly. You could see the pole bulging under the skin on his back. It was burnt into my brain and I couldn't sleep for days. Some other videos include that one where a dude shoved a glass jar up his ass and it breaks inside of him. A video of some dude pulling out the handle of a screwdriver from his dick hole. What's with men and putting things where they aren't supposed to be? Many suicide videos with shotguns so the head explodes and brain stuff everywhere. I was 10 years old at the library doing a project for school and for whatever reason I needed to find an image of a unicorn on Google Images. So I searched something like unicorn with rainbow and I found this cute photo of a unicorn surrounded by a rainbow halo. All good, right? Yeah, nope. I clicked on the image, but rather than taking me to a full-size version of the unicorn picture, a pornographic image of a nude male's genitals showed up on my computer screen. I guess it must have been like a trick link or something if that even exists. I was in shock. First, I thought the FBI was going to come and arrest me for looking at something so indecent on the internet, lol. And secondly, I had just never been exposed to that kind of thing before and it made me feel so sick and scared that I almost threw up. I literally spent the next few weeks. Those Facebook pages that posted message conversations between a guy and a girl where the girl would politely turn down the guy, with memes shaming the girl for friend-zoning him. Back in the early 2010s, friend-zone danger was a big, toxic thing. I grew up scared of turning down guys because I would be the evil friend-zoner. A few years later I looked back upon those conversations/memes and the girls had every right to turn down the guys, sometimes they were downright creepy. And even though the page admins claimed they were healthy jokes, the comment sections were full of hates and cussing on the poor women. I googled sexy girls as a kid on the family computer in a communal room out of curiosity. I felt I was supposed to be into chicks and I didn't know what they looked like. This was in the inception of the internet. I stumbled upon a blog that was kind of a girls gone wild thing but a lot of text. There was a girl spread eagle on the back of truck and my mom walked in. She yelled. I blamed my dad. They fought while I played Nickelodeon games. Vagina imprinted in the back of my mind. I had nightmares about it. I ended up gay but I think I already was gay, this just reinforced vagina equals bad. This happened a few months ago. I was on Omegle and there was a girl cutting her wrists like her whole hands were literally cut up but she wasn't showing her face so I thought someone was just playing a video so I jokingly said if this is real cut her tits and she literally made a cut on her right breast and I didn't talk to her for a long time but she me but how no one cares about her. I was trying to her stop the cutting, she kept cutting herself all along until she just skipped me. I still wonder where she is now and if she's even alive. I was 18 to 20 back then when I first saw this so technically I was far away from being a kid but it still managed to shock me for weeks. It was an educational YouTube video about human body dissection. I can't recall the channel name but from all I can remember it looked like a science workshop but made similar to a TV show setup. A few rounds of audience sit together created an open circle and left an empty space at the center which later being used as the stage area. A group of doctors/pathologists walked out carrying a young man to middle-aged deceased man's body. They put him down, settled him in a stand-up position. After a doctor promptly introduced the experiment to the audience, one doctor slowly peeled off the man's skin from his body, revealing all of his flesh, body fat, muscles, etc. Yes, I've never been the same since that day, lol. I went to my dad's office once when I was younger because we didn't have internet at the house yet and tried looking up a blueberry muffin recipe. Instead I clicked on blueberries muffin and it was a porn loop and I didn't know how to get out of it. I had a freaking heart attack because my dad is a huge prude, and if he saw that on an office computer I was going to be in huge shit. I finally just unplugged the computer.